I got Nicolas Cage on my PSP, baby.
You just broke my brain. I don't even know what to say to that. Hello, and welcome to episode 141 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I am your host, Mike Salbato. Despite how I sound, it is indeed still me. Today we are going to be talking about PSP RPGs. This is the second in our series of handheld RPG episodes. I'm excited about this one. As you may be able to tell, I have been a bit sick lately. So I'm, as much as possible, I'm going to defer to my panel today to fill in the gaps when I don't feel like talking. So let me introduce them. First of all, we have Pat here today with us.
Hey everyone, glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. Also, Audra is here.
Hello. I am also glad to be here.
And rounding out our panel today is Gio.
Hi, I love the PSP.
Heck yeah.
I think we all
Yes.
do, right? That'd be really weird if one of us didn't. It's like, no, not really. But I'm here anyway. Actually,
I have so many fond memories of playing the PSP. I mean, when you think about sort of that last, it was kind of the last generation, like before there was a lot of really heavy online functionality, achievements, profiles. I know that PSP had online connectivity, but not in the way Vita did. And I just think of PSP as sort of an extension to the PS2 generation. And yeah, really kind of missed that whole realm of gaming before things got so online.
I could see that. I like to always ask at the top of the show, like, what brought everyone here? I'm gonna say that probably it's because we like the PSP library and there's a lot of good music. But if anyone has anything in particular beyond the love of the PSP's library, let us know. Nope, that's it.
Pretty much it for me.
We can go into it, later.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of reasons why I think we picked the songs we picked.
Okay.
But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those topics where that sort of answers itself, but I want to give everyone the opportunity.
Yeah.
All right. So today's episode, we are breaking things up by person, just because I looked at our track list we had today, and it happens every once in a while, and it just turned out that everyone's songs paired best with each other's songs, or with our own songs. So instead of just mixing and matching everything, each of us is just going to talk about our two songs, one at a time. So we're actually starting out today with Pat. So Pat, what are your two songs?
Yeah, I got a song from the PSP exclusive .hack game, .hack Link. The song is called Tears of Feelings. And then I also have the opening theme to a game called Anata wo Yurusanai. And that song is called Toneless. And we'll talk more about who wrote that and what's special about it after the break.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that was, I said this off air too, but that was actually a revelation to me. I had no idea. So I'm excited to talk about it. So let us go listen to Tears of Feelings and Toneless.
夢中 しまいたい
All right, those were two lovely vocal tracks. One a little more energetic, the other one really just sort of oozing pathos and other sort of bittersweet emotions. So I'm gonna talk about both of them, and I think these are both really great. Sadly, I don't think either of these games ever got localized. I know the second one didn't. I don't think Hack Link did either. But there were very few games that I imported from my PSP and attempted to play in Japanese, but these two were among them. If fan translations ever happen, I'll probably dig to get them again. But I love the .hack series. Chikayo Fukuda has been like I think there have been some additional composers, but Chikayo Fukuda is sort of in-house with CyberConnect 2 and has been doing music with that studio for so long. I know that the original tetralogy IMOQ of .hack, and then also .hack GU, .hack Link, and something after that, and all the anime, it's all her. It's all Chikayo Fukuda. And so her style is, if you're familiar with these games and anime, like there's a very distinct style, at least from my perspective, to the way she writes, and especially the way she writes vocal tracks. Vocal on this is done by Tomoyo Mitani. She's done other sort of larger game and anime projects, including other .hack games. And Tears of Feelings is actually a battle theme. It's event battle number 8, according to the track list. And it's, one of my favorite things is when you throw vocals into a battle theme. If you think like Nier Automata later on would go on to do a lot of great battle themes, vocal, like Beautiful Song with Simone. I actually just watched the anime recently and they had that there, and it was like, a good battle theme with vocals can really liven up a battle. Especially if the music's written in such a way that you kind of have your dynamics, your highs and lows built in such a way that the likelihood that the player could be taking on like an intense part of the battle at the same time as the music like ratchets up or cuts all the instruments and it's just vocals, effective use of silence and that kind of thing. This track really works that well, in my opinion. I love how driving it is. The tempo's not too fast, but it definitely has a lot of motivation behind it. The piano's great. When it cuts down to just piano and vocal, that sounds good. That move from the verse to the chorus, that high note that opens the chorus and then the descent, just sounds so freaking good. There's a ton of great themes all throughout the .hack series, but I think Link really has a strong soundtrack, and a lot of people just don't know about it because it didn't come to America. But honestly, I think it's up there with the GU soundtracks. So yeah. The other track that I brought in, the slower one, the more moody one, Toneless, comes from Anata o Yurusanai, which roughly translates to I Don't Forgive You. It was sort of a visual novel detective game in the style of Ace Attorney. PSP exclusive, never brought to America. I think Xseed Games had planned to localize it, but for complicated reasons, it didn't happen.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
The number one was that GameStop said they wouldn't put it on their shelves. because
Oh,
it's a
Oh.
pretty mature and adult game, and for '09, that was a bigger deal back then than it is now.
right.
And also, it was a bigger deal to get physical copies of your games out back then. Now, in this environment, it would have easily been localized because it would have been a digital-only release and it would have gone right through. And honestly, you could put it on Switch these days. But the content was considered pretty racy back then. This is a game about, again, I said it's like Ace Attorney, but your job is you're a private eye, and for all your cases, it's people coming to you saying, hey, I think my spouse is cheating on me. And then it's your job to go and, prove it, get the evidence one way or another. I think in at least one of them, you honey trap them and prove that they're a philanderer because they're willing to cheat on the person that hired you with you. So it's definitely, dark and, mature content. The crazy thing about this soundtrack that a lot of people don't know is while he isn't the sole composer, he's sort of the lead composer. Nobuo Uematsu. Yes.
I know that guy.
Yeah, everyone's hero. And if he's not your hero, I'm confused. Why are you listening to this podcast? He's the guy who wrote Final Fantasy 1 through 9 and at least contributed to pretty much every other Final Fantasy. When he departed officially with Square after FF9, he did 10 and 11, portions of 10 and 11, about a third each. And then he worked with Hironobu Sakaguchi when Mistwalker Studio was founded and did 2 games, Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. What was his next game project after that? Well, it was this. It was Anata wo Yurusanai. And he worked with a couple other composers on this, not all of whom are Japanese composers. They got some American and European jazz folks to do not just performance, but also some comp and arrangement. And it's a really cool soundtrack. I think I have a review of the soundtrack up on the site. It's pretty old, but I stand by it. But for years since that soundtrack came out, so I guess it's been 15 years now, this opening track, Toneless, has stood the test of time for me as one of my all-time favorite vocals. Maybe my favorite vocal that Uematsu wrote. I think that's true. Certainly top 3. It's a really good one in my opinion. I just get that sort of smoky bar, film noir, lounge vibe to it. It's just a nice slow standard. The organ sounds so good in it. That's sort of the lead instrumental part, and that's certainly well within Uematsu's scope. He's used organ all throughout his previous games, his synth voices all throughout Super Nintendo and PlayStation. He'd lean heavily on both pipe organ and sort of a jazzy reed organ. And so this reed organ sound that you hear right from the beginning and all throughout the song just pairs with the vocalist. Her name's YVONNE, so well. I could talk for hours about this, and I'm going to stop now, let you guys talk, because I know I said a lot.
You know what Toneless reminds me of? The singer Serge Gainsbourg, the French singer?
No.
He this is like his wheelhouse because he is, like you said, he is this is like a smoky bar, slightly under, sleazy-ish, and very moody. And it sounds a bit like his music, and this was this was new to me. I had no idea Nobuo Uematsu made a soundtrack like this, and I'm just so impressed by the range of influences he's pulling from. If it's true that he listened to Serge Gainsbourg and chanson music, this is probably one of my favorite new discoveries this year so far, I think. And I actually did listen to a bunch of other tracks, and they're very good.
Yeah, it's a crazy good soundtrack, and really a lot of if you like exploring the different subgenres of jazz, it really covers a lot of bases. What was the can you say the French person's name again?
Yeah, Serge Gainsbourg.
Yeah. So I feel like I owe it to myself to look into this guy. Is he still alive, or is he an older composer? Or
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Although I'm not. I don't want to say for sure. But yeah, there's like this one album he did. The something of Melody Hansen or something.
Oh, I feel like
Serge
I've heard of
Gainsbourg.
that. Yeah.
Melody Nelson.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
The Histoire de Melody Nelson, and this song sounds very much like descended from that album
Yeah.
to me, and so
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I love looking into like inspiration and like, there's always history to every genre. So I definitely want to check this out. And if anyone else listening is familiar, definitely like reach out to us. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But yeah, dude, like I love the style, and I want to know more about like who kind of put the roots down for this style of music. So thank you, Gio.
Nice. I also really loved Tears of Feelings too. I had no idea it was a battle theme. Like I was so sure. I was like, oh, it's like a very tumultuous like cutscene, maybe.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
kinda
got out
thought
of it
that
too.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm suddenly thinking like, oh, is this like a Genova situation where like honestly, yeah, like a Aerith theme thing where it's not really a cutscene theme, but it's like you're fighting Genova or something. I wonder if it's like a similar situation.
Yeah, I think it might be a scripted battle. So to that degree, it is both cutscene and battle. But I think it still has like it's not unlosable. There's definitely challenge, but I think there's cuts between where there's a lot of dialogue and stuff. One of those.
So it's still a pivotal part of the story.
Oh yeah, it's one of the. I think it's near the end of the game. It's not the final battle, but it's near the end.
Yeah, it really puts it more into context when you mention that Tears of Feelings is a battle theme, and then this one, the Toneless, is an opening theme for a game that has investigation elements. It makes sense knowing that now, but I mean, I love both songs, even without the context, and now I'm like, ooh. I'm very curious about the rest of the soundtracks for both titles.
I love to do that experiment with myself if I can, to listen to a soundtrack without the context and then learn the context either by playing the game or just watching videos, researching. I think that's such a fun experience. I most recently did it with Hades 2. I listened to the soundtrack on its own, and then I started playing the early access. It's such a great experience to have that sort of light bulb over your head. Just like, oh, like that's your epiphany. Like that feels right.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad you had that experience with these tracks.
Well, context aside, what I really like about the Dot Hack song is just how earnest the vocalist is. Like just the emotion you can hear in her voice, whether you know the lyrics or not. It reminds me a little bit of some of Yuki Kajiura's stuff on Noir and Xenosaga. Just I don't know, just this certain blend of music style and the impassioned singing. And I mean that, and just that's the highest compliment coming from me. So I enjoyed that one a lot. Toneless is even more of an emotional song. It gives me this like cool, like introspective piano bar kind of vibe sometimes. Maybe less so when the guitar jumps in, but still, I can just the vibe I get from this of someone like singing this in like a quiet nightclub somewhere. I don't know. It's just there's a real great atmosphere to it, which I think is fantastic. And I like the way the singer, just the way she like draws out the notes and draws out her words. It's just very lovely. The game itself is also fascinating. Like beyond what you said, like the context of it. I think it was interesting as I looked into it that you play it vertically or sideways or however you want to do it on the PSP.
Yep, you hold
and
it
it's like,
sideways.
And it's like, I look at that now, and it's like, I don't think, as far as I know, I looked it up, like, I don't even think it got a mobile port, which is kind of hilarious because it would actually fit the proportion, the screen ratio of mobile phones perfectly now. So maybe that could be a way one day this game gets a second life.
Oh, I would absolutely love a mobile port, and you're right. That is like that's the same aspect ratio, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Close enough. It's vertical anyway. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting.
There's one other game. It's not PSP, it's DS, but it's another game that gets held rotated that didn't come to America, and I didn't put it on our DS episode, but wish I had, because it's another turn your game sideways thing, was Sigma Harmonix.
Oh, right.
Which also would have been good for the Hamutsu episode, because that's Masashi Hamutsu.
There you go.
Yeah. Sigma Harmonix was, very weird game that had a visual novel and then rhythm game components that never came to America, but
right.
That's a weird one. And I just love the idea of taking your handheld and just, because there are very few games that did that back then, but there were some, and it was very clever to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a neat idea. All right. Well, if we are all ready to move on, I guess I can talk about or introduce my songs now.
Ooh, do it.
Yes.
So my first one could argue is a stretch, except Mega Man Legends 2 actually did get a distinct PSP port beyond just being able to play the PS1 game. So that's how I'm justifying it. So I actually did 2 songs from Mega Man Legends 2 just because one of them is very short and they really go together. Like, they're meant to go together. So my first quote unquote song today is the Calinca Tundra and Calinca Ruins Reaverbots theme from Mega Man Legends 2. And then after that, I have Shibuya from 7th Dragon 2020, which was another thing that like hit me while planning this episode. And I'm like, I didn't know about this at all. So I'm excited to talk about those. So let's go listen to a pairing of Mega Man Legends 2 songs and Shibuya. So yes, as I talked about, I did decide to combine two related songs for one of my picks. So Calinca is right at the beginning of Mega Man Legends 2, and I always thought it was just a great showcase to illustrate how different of an experience the sequel turns out to be. They really built up the game and refined it like so much over the first one, which of course makes me wish that there were more. But it's so different because everything in the first game, you're on this island and you have ruins, and there's some variety in environments, but not so much because you're on this like kind of like this island tropical area. But as soon as you start this one, like you're in this like snow area, which is completely different from what you're used to. And it just has this like super haunting, like minimalistic soundscape, and it's so perfect for these snowfields you're in, where you have like somewhat limited visibility. So like just exploring the area, visually, and like the town and everything is already so different than what you're expecting after the first game, and the music also goes in a different direction. And then those cool like vocals just really give me chills, which is not a pun. Not this time, it's not a pun anyway. But they really do. And there's a sound that's, I guess, like a triangle kind of that just kind of keeps the pace quietly in the background, which I think really adds something interesting to the atmosphere. So that's your exploration sound. And then the second half of my pick here is the battle theme for the Reaverbots in this area, because there's different battle themes in each area that kind of plays into that area's music. I think it generally always does that. But so you have this battle theme that's like a slightly sped up twist on the area music. The triangle is much more pronounced. The triangle sound is much more pronounced in the battle one. The vocals are still there and they still have the haunting feel, but the increased tempo just makes everything hit really differently. I just love just how this really sets the game apart right from the beginning. So, and also like this is the first major area of the game. So like musically, this is a very strong start to the sequel. And wouldn't it be funny if I took a whole bunch of notes on Mega Man Legends and then forgot to take notes on my other song? That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it?
That would be very funny.
That would be really funny.
Yeah, that definitely didn't happen though, right?
It certainly happened.
Oh no!
I'm definitely going to blame the whole sickness thing.
I think you get a mulligan, my friend.
I think so too. I did. Okay, I'm gonna see what I can do here, but I really liked it because I was looking, because there's a lot of PSP games out there, and I just kept going through games and like a lot of stuff I don't know. A lot of things just didn't come out here either. But when I saw Yuzo Koshiro did this soundtrack, which was not really on my radar, I was very excited about it. There's a lot of songs on there. I was really like, I actually had a hard time narrowing it down what to go with. So of course I went with Shibuya. Which, also the full title, of course, is Shibuya Jungle Navigation. But yeah. So I'm gonna pass this over to someone else, and then we'll come back and I'll talk about it a little more.
Yeah, I would love to talk about 7th Dragon 2020. In fact, I think I also reviewed this one back in around the time it came out, which was late 2011, early 2012. The 7th Dragon series was similar style of game to Etrian Odyssey, but different dev team. But it was dungeon crawly, kind of build your own party wizardry style kind of game. The first 7th Dragon did the same thing as the early Etrian Odyssey games, in that there was a retro sound source, which I think for the first 7th Dragon it was more like a Sega Genesis FM synth kind of thing, and then like the DS version. But when they made the sequel, 7th Dragon 2020, they first of all cut the medieval theme and went, well, sort of cyberpunk futuristic. In fact, I think there was a DLC add-on for this game that involved Hatsune Miku. They didn't do a retro sound source. They just went for like this really sort of epic synth soundtrack. Kind of reminds me, if people know the Wangan Midnight racing games that Yuzo Koshiro did the music for. It's not quite as like house DJ style as that. Well, some songs were, but Shibuya is not. Shibuya is definitely more melodic, and it has just like such a good build. It starts soft and then like almost 2 minutes in, the lead synth voicing is just so powerful. It's probably one of my favorite tracks on the OST. Mike, I definitely understand having a hard time picking from them, but I think you picked a good one.
Well, thank you. It gives me it reminds me a little bit of some of I have a lot of fond nostalgic feelings for Phantasy Star Online. And that synthy, like futuristic soundscape kind of thing, it makes me think of that a little bit, which it makes me happy.
Yeah, and I think the game, if not directly, I think this game indirectly draws inspiration from Sega's flagship, RPG series, which is Phantasy Star. So, it does sort of have that, sort of those PSO vibes. Like certainly like early, like the first and second, what would they call it? Like PSO first and second, like before they had made a lot of expansions.
I think it was like version 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, I think that is what they called it, version 1 and 2. That 1 and 2 OST for Phantasy Star Online was like one of the coolest albums back in the day, and I think this song especially really could have just fit on that soundtrack. Like it just really oozes that similar style. Can I, while my mouth is running, can I talk about the MML2 tracks?
You can always talk about Mega Man on this show.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So I never played Legends 2, which is like a serious point of shame for me because I am aware of its quality and its pedigree in the world of good games. Forget RPGs, just all games. It's well celebrated. But man, the which one's the first one? The slower one? Is that the Ruins or is that the Tundra?
The Tundra.
Tundra. Man, do I like that track. Short, painfully short. Yeah, I mean, that's pre-looped, 90 seconds. I wish I had more. That what you talked about, Mike, the choir vocals, that scratches my itches, that pushes my buttons in a good way. Like that's like for that decade of game music, like if you could fit that in there, I was just over the moon every time. And I just think to put that in your early game, like I just think it's perfect. It reminds me of like musically, it's why I love like Atelier and Artanelico. Like it's that soundscape that I just like really love. The faster track, the Reaverbots one, I do like hearing them paired and getting how it's all right. We're picking up from the same theme, but now it's time to fight, time to get our Mega Man action on. But yeah, I definitely like the environmental Tundra track a little more. But I was glad that you paired them because they are short tracks, and I think it's good to hear them together.
Yeah,
I like the added intensity of the Reaverbot one, but I love both versions of the song. Well, I mean, they're two separate songs, but they do pair well together.
Right.
In the Shibuya Jungle Navigation, I quite like how it almost sounds like it has like layers to it, where it's like they're segmented into different sections, the song. It has an interesting feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would also like agree because like, okay, Shibuya song, like I have like just one note, and it's that this is my thing. This is my like I love this kind of music, and I love the way I mean, it's so very cavemanish, but like I love the way the bass goes doom, and then like there's like a little synth chord behind it, and it's like, oh, it's very satisfying when the bass does it. And then there's like a chord. Ugh, I just love it. Love it. And I just find it so amusing that Yuzo Koshiro has made like back-to-back appearances. Like I don't know, it's so cool that, you know, he's been around for such a long time, and like he's kind of everywhere. Like from ActRaiser all the way to, I don't know if he did Streets of Rage 4, but like he's has such a long career, and I don't know, it's nice. He's one of my favorites, so I like celebrating him. And and Mega Man Legends too. It's just great. Like it's just a really atmospheric track. I'm surprised it was like the first song in the game. I haven't also played it, but I played the first one, and the first one didn't have songs like this. The first one is like all happy-go-lucky songs, from my memory at least. So like, it's interesting that Mega Man Legends 2 is like a moodier song to start. I have it on my PSP, so I think I really should play it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend it, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think we can respect ourselves till we get to this Geo. So I think we owe it to ourselves to, you know, buckle down and play the PSP version of Mega Man Legends 2.
Yeah, the
well,
PSP
that one didn't,
with the built-in.
Yeah,
PS1.
I mean the PSP, the actual PSP version did not get localized. They didn't bring over either one here.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But I mean, you can play the PS1 versions on the PSP if you want, or on your PS3 or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
like a PS1 classic is on there.
I don't know what they did with the controls on PSP. I know that, as I recall, both games are better with 4 shoulder buttons, so it's probably a better experience on a PlayStation controller anyway.
You know, I played the first one on PSP, and it's very awkward because like there's no L2 and R2, right? So like it's on the analog stick, and it's a bit weird. So I would recommend, if you have a PlayStation Vita, if you really want to play it handheld, that's a better option. Yeah.
Just don't play the N64 version of Legends. Just don't do it.
I've heard people say that, and I don't even need to know why. I just assume, it's a bad port.
Well, I mean, it's the PlayStation one, just like chunkier and blurrier and uglier.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't play it personally. Like, I don't actually know how it even controls that, but I'm afraid. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. I think we should let Audra talk about some music.
All right. Well, my choice is, it's another game that did not get localized over here, and both versions of it. I'm actually doing the Crimson Star, which is the PSP Growlanser Opening 2 song, as well as one game that did get localized finally over here for the PSP. Quite, I'd say, very late in its lifespan.
Yes, very late.
It was like one of the last games localized, right, for that platform.
Yeah. Rendezvous of the Stars, Ready to Fly English version from Summon Night 5.
All right. Let's go listen to Crimson Star and Rendezvous of the Stars, Ready to Fly.
Well, Crimson Star is... I'm kind of an unapologetic Growlanser fan. And I really wanted to play the first Growlanser, and I finally got the chance when it was on PSP, and I managed to import a copy and used a nifty little translation script guide to do so, and I kind of just fell in love with the opening theme, which they... Actually, for the second opening theme, they changed it from the original PlayStation version to a new one for the PSP, and I kind of I prefer it a lot more, actually. And I love the vocals, and the instrumentation is pretty sick on some parts. And it's a really good opening theme, I think, that fits the series well. And Summon Night 5 is basically... Rendezvous of the Stars is... It's peak nostalgia for me because it reminds me of Working Designs' Lunar English songs and English language versions. And I just kind of love that they did it. Because of that, it's a hidden track on the OST that they released here for the games, and it's a good song. I love the instrumentation. I love the English lyrics and the attention to detail. it sounds really nice, and I wanted to share it because it is actually one of the last localized PSP games as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. One of the last localized PSP games, and also the second to last game released from Gaijin Works.
Yeah.
Before Summer Night 6. So.
Yes, which they also did some English language songs for, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, well, that's a Victor Ireland thing, right?
Yep.
I'm every couple years I check out the Gaijin Works site and like, are you guys still around? And there's still people on the forums talking about like, I wonder what's going on. It's a very weird, interesting place to be.
Yes.
But
is Victor Ireland the game arts guy?
Working Designs.
Working Designs.
Working Designs. Right.
Yeah, they localized a whole bunch of like PS1 era and Saturn, and I guess Sega CD was where they started, right, Mike?
Yeah, I think so.
The first 2 Lunar games, and then of course their PlayStation ports. They did Magic Knight Ray Earth, Alundra,
Vanguard Bandits.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games that never in a million years would have made it to America otherwise.
Yep.
They brought
Growlanser Generations.
Yes, which is 2 and 3, right?
2 and 3, yep.
It was bundled 2 and 3. They also did it. They did the Arcthalad trilogy, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So they really did do a lot of really cool stuff. And one of the coolest things that they did is if a game had vocal tracks, like they put in the extra work and made an English version. And did they come out a little campy sometimes? Sure. But it was still cool that it was attempted, and they didn't really sound worse for the wear. In fact, when it comes to Lunar, I know a lot of people prefer the English vocal themes.
Right.
So, they definitely did something special. As for Summon Night 5, I again think it was really cool. And also, like, if ever there was a franchise that, like, Ireland in his post-Working Designs world was, like, suited for localizing, I think the Summon Night series was really... it was a good choice. I think it was a really good fit. And I think this version of the vocal track, Rendezvous with the Stars, Ready to Fly, like, really fun, really, sweet, but not like saccharine sweet, just like wholesome. I think wholesome's the word I'm going to go for that track. And so, sorry, were you going to say something, Audra?
Oh, no, I actually think wholesome's a pretty good fit for it.
Yeah, and I think that's true for a lot of the Chiaki Fujita tracks for the whole series. I was saying off air to Audra that it's weird for me, like, I followed the Summon Night franchise really closely when it was Japan only, and then for whatever reason, I think maybe my PSP died and I had to buy a second one a couple years later, but like I missed the release of 5 and just never got back to it. So like I missed like my first shot at like an English language version of the game. But I got the soundtrack, of course, because I love soundtracks, and so I love the Japanese version of the song. Also love the English version. Glad it exists. Glad to listen to it. And then real quick, Growlanser. One of my favorite things about taking a PS1 game, putting on PSP, is they would often create just a fun new FMV sequence and theme song with it. They did that with the first 2 Star Oceans. They did it with Persona 3 with P3P. They did it with actually also Persona 1 and 2, the remakes of 1 and 2. With Growlanser, I like that they kept the original, because I do like those male and female versions of the original openings. But for that second track, sort of the mid-game opening, when you like past that point, I like that they recorded new songs. Noriyasu Agematsu definitely has the skill set for it. Among his PSP work, like Elements Garden did that PSP Suikoden game that we never got, that also had incredible vocal tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And this Crimson Star reminded me a lot of that soundtrack, though this is certainly more energetic, like high octane energetic than that track. But it's very much an Elements Garden song, and I think it works for the Growlanser. Like, he wrote something that really fits Growlanser well with this one. So again, Audra, thank you for bringing a great vocal track. Two great vocal tracks.
You're very welcome.
I think actually the fact that we had so many vocals today this is actually a large part of my notes here, is that I think it really says a lot about the PSP. I think it was really remarkable when you think about it, to like be able to do this quality of music and like full on vocal songs and stuff like that on a handheld, because we just didn't, handhelds just weren't known for that kind of thing. Like they really did raise the bar for what could be done in terms of audio. So I think that's not the only reason we have so many of them, but it's interesting because it really opened the gates for what people could do with music on a handheld. So I think that's pretty great. I enjoyed both of these a lot. I kept going back to the Summon Night one. It's
catchy.
It's really catchy. It has some like really fun like string accents, and yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. Anyway, Gio,
they were far.
Yeah.
Sorry, they were far ahead of Nintendo, because like the contemporary handheld from Nintendo at the time, the DS had really it was capable of like vocals per se, but like it was very compressed, and it wouldn't be until the 3DS when they would be able to manage like something on the level of the PSP.
Right.
So yeah, I find that really impressive.
Yeah, me too. I mean, plus, UMD is just a great format. I replaced my entire DVD library with UMDs. I think I own one. I think I have Advent Children on UMD, and that's probably it. And I don't even know why I have that.
That's a cool one to have for it, right? If you're going to have a UMD movie, an FF7 thing is kind of a cool thing to have.
Right.
Yeah.
I had one that came with whatever bundle my first PSP was with. It had like National Treasure, or maybe National Treasure 2. So I got Nicolas Cage on my PSP, baby.
You just broke my brain. I don't even know what to say to that. I was like, how do I turn this around here?
You're like, there's no transition for this.
No, there isn't.
Nick Cage just took over our minds.
Okay, so my songs, my block. I'm bringing Sight of Silence from Gurumin. It's an old Falcom game. And then my second song is Battle from Fate Extra. I hope you guys enjoy.
Oh, I did. All right, let's go listen to Battle and Sight of Silence.
Okay, so that was my block. Um, so I thought we couldn't really have a PSP episode without Falcom because that company was kind of everywhere in the PSP. Like they had some of the best games, the most well-known games. But I didn't want to go with Trails or Ease because I'm, contrarian like that. But I wanted to bring Falcom anyway, so I decided to bring Gurumin, which is like a really interesting action adventure game, kind of Zelda-y game. But there's like a rhythm plays a big part in the game. I haven't played it very much. Actually, I mean, this is kind of cheating because like I played it more on the PC than on PSP. But it's a very good game, and it's the soundtrack is pretty unique among Falcom games because there's a heavy focus on jazz, which is like evident in Sight of Silence, which is like this really busy jazz tune with like a crazy synth solo that I really wanted to highlight. I love it, and I wanted other people to listen to it. So yeah, it's my favorite song on the Gurumin OST. And then for Fate Extra, it's another game I haven't actually played, but I thought it would be very timely because there are rumors that Fate Extra is getting or no, it's not rumors, but like there are rumors that it might come out soon. But like there's like gonna be like a remake of Fate Extra coming out, and not many people know about this game. It's like this turn-based RPG from like 2011, and it's the soundtrack's by Shinji Hosoe, the guy who did the Zero Escape series soundtrack. He's very, very good, and like this is a Jamiroquai-ish acid jazz song. It's not a battle theme you would encounter if you just play through the main story. Like it's something you have to go out of your way for, to my understanding. Like it's like a post-zone battle something, and I just love it. Like I've known about it for a while. It's like this really propulsive disco acid jazz song, and it actually reminds me of a racing tune with the way, like like it wouldn't be out of place like Ridge Racer or something. And
I'll just say real quick that definitely checks, since Shinji Hosoe did the original Ridge Racer soundtrack. That was him.
Nice.
Okay. I see. So yeah, I just me, I love the more jazzy side of video game music. So like I had to bring two really, really, really jazzy songs. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean these are so you.
And they're awesome.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
Gurumin track really kind of snuck up on me. Like the first like 30 seconds or so is like very minimalist, and then just like hits you with like this cool funky jazz. And I think one of the things I'm glad about what you brought, I mean you're really good at doing this anyway, Gio, generally, but is that you went with Falcom, but not what anyone thinks of for Falcom. And I don't, like you said, I'm not sure how well known Fate Extra is. Like even me, like it's one of those games like I know of it, but that's about it. So but yeah, I like that you went with this. Like the Gurumin one, it's such a fun beat, and it's so different from Falcom's work on Ys and Legend of Heroes. So it seems like it really also fits. Of course, even the visuals, the vibe of the game is completely different from what you usually think of for Falcom. And then there's a piano that comes in around like the 2-minute mark that's really just excellent. Although really the way new instruments come in and are added throughout the song is really what pushed me over the edge here. Like it's so much fun. And the Fate Extra one, actually turns out that is one of my favorite songs of the episode. I didn't even have like a ton of notes on it beyond just that it's really catchy and fun, and I like the idea of something that's in parts it's almost kind of low key and jazzy, and not a typical kind of battle sound. But the tempo lends itself well to battle, I think. So I don't know. It's really interesting. I like the energy and the liveliness of it all. So
yeah, I like how it predates Persona 5 by a few years. Like, Shinji Hosoe was like doing it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, actually, I played a little bit of Fate Extra, but I never reached the song, and I'm kind of regretting that now because it's a really amazing song. It's quite catchy. I was kind of bopping my head as I was listening to it. And
I'm curious to see if like they like remaster it, or like if they do a different take on it, like with the new game coming out.
And I love the different take on Falcom that the Gurumin song provides. It's very nice. It showcases their versatility, I think.
Yeah, Gio, I very much agree with you that like PSP was sort of like Falcom, like they really like pushed a lot of their library onto the PSP. Like a lot of their PC games got ported to PSP, and then there were a few that were developed first for PSP and then got ported back to PC. Some of you may remember that E7 Once Upon a Time was a PSP exclusive, which was a bold choice for them, since usually they would release all their East games. It was PC first and then to consoles. So they were really heavily backing the PSP at the time. Yeah, I think if I had thought to include Falcom, I probably would have pulled in VM Japan, which was another really good one. I think for a long time in my own mind, I had sort of written off Gurumin as one of their weaker soundtracks. But listening to this particular song, I'm questioning my own taste. Because this was a really good one. Extremely well written. And yes, the Gurumin soundtrack stylistically is a little all over the map, and isn't as sort of tightly defined as, say, E6 or the first Legend of Heroes. The first Legend of Heroes 6, right? The first Sora no Kiseki game. But yeah, it does a lot of cool stuff, and Sight of Silence is a great track. So again, Gia, thanks for the friendly reminder that I shouldn't be pushing things off to the archives in my head as quickly as I do. And then
well, you have so many things in there.
It is a lot to keep up with, but you know, that's how it is with music, right? And then this one I didn't even know about. You know, Fate as sort of a meta franchise is something I have just not kept up with at all. I think if I knew that Shinji Hosoe worked on any one game, I probably would have honed in on it more quickly. This looks like this might be the only one he worked on. There's a game right after it called Fate Extra CCC that he did not work on, which bummed me out. But the original Fate Extra, they didn't release a full soundtrack for the game, but both in its Japanese release and then when Axis released it in America, there was a very small, it looks like it's 10 tracks long, pack-in limited soundtrack. So if you bought the LE, you got a disc with some of the songs on it. Fortunately, this battle theme is on there, as it's labeled as Battle parentheses Deep Sea, 15 and parentheses. So, you know, for those of you that might own the PSP game, if you have the LE, you already have this CD, and you might not even be aware that this fine track is on there. I would like to see if you said they're doing a remake of it, Gio. I would like to see them publish a full soundtrack, because this is certainly not everything from the Fate Extra soundtrack. There's no way this game just has 10 songs on it. This is a best of album for sure. And I'd love to hear the full soundtrack and see a publication of it with the remake, even if it's a digital only, like just to have all the music. Because Hosoe, like, criminally, there's a lot of his music that's just never been published. I still, to this day, am salty about the lack of Xenosaga Episode 2.
I knew that's where you were going with that. Yep. I was just waiting.
Yep. We got Yuki Kajira's tracks, but there is an equal amount, another 2 discs worth of music that you can find in Game Rips that was written by Shinji Hosoe that just never got published. I'm still mad. I'm still salty. And this is just another example of one where I was like, here's some great Shinji Hosoe music that I didn't even know about. I'm glad there's a pack-in soundtrack with some songs, but who knows how many other great tracks are there, because this battle theme is crazy good. I'm glad you mentioned Persona 5 as sort of a comparison point, Gio, because this is, I think you mentioned like the acid as subgenre, like absolutely this is that, and it's really good. I never heard this one before. Honestly, I was very impressed that Hosoe pulled out something that wasn't just of the style, but was also so cohesive. Sometimes I get a little bit of metaphorical whiplash when I listen to OSTs like Ridge Racer. So this was still there, but I felt like still had a little more cohesion, and I could see it working as sort of an RPG battle theme. And so just really impressed by it. So yeah, thank you again.
Yeah. Hey, you're welcome. Actually, the whole soundtrack's on YouTube, and I've just had a playlist for it for years, because it's been, I don't know, I don't know where I was introduced to it, but it all sounds like this, and it's very much well worth listening to. Just people ripping the music straight from the PSP.
Right. Yeah. No, I saw the game rip. The game rip version that you pulled this song from, but I would love to see an officially published Hosoe is getting royalty money from it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm always thinking about that, right? And a lot of modern games now, music's getting published on Spotify, and so and YouTube and YouTube Music and iTunes, and so when they do this Fate Extra release, that'd be so cool if this and any new music they write for it got fully published somewhere. I would love that.
That'd be great.
But yeah, thanks for introducing us to it, Gio, because I think you had said you played it, Audra, but you hadn't played far enough to hear this track.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this was a new one for all of us, right? And it was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is true in most episodes, but I feel like there was a lot of that going around today. Just a lot of us learning things we didn't know about, like your Toneless song, especially. It was kind of a revelation for most of us. So, yeah, it's been very educational and interesting. So I appreciate all of you for what you brought on today.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Yeah. In fact, most of them were new to the show.
Fun.
I always compile the list at the end of which games made their debut, and this is one of those ones where it was easier to do it the other way around, saying that 6 of our 8 tracks were games that had never been on Rhythm Encounter. The only ones that had been on before are Gurumin and 7th Dragon 2020, but both of those were quite a while ago. So otherwise, everything else was brand new. So that's always fun.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a great episode. Let's talk about a little bit about what is coming next, though. In a couple weeks, we are doing whatever we're going to call it, weird song titles. There are a lot of bizarre song titles out there, and obviously we're picking music that we still like, but we just wanted to specifically hone in on things with just strange names. So I think that's going to be a fun one. And Pat, you're going to be back for that too.
I'm on it. I already have my picks, and I'm feeling real good about it.
Good. After that, we're doing an episode on lo-fi. So I don't know how much we're going to end up pulling from actual game soundtracks for lo-fi, but oh boy, do fans and other musicians like doing lo-fi arrangements for games. So there is no shortage of things to pull from. And I have become a major lo-fi fan in the last few years. So I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm just gonna say, I will be shocked if we get through that episode without coffee talk being on there.
Oh, yes.
It's very likely.
It's a must-have.
Yeah.
Must-have.
Yeah.
What a man.
I did not.
Great.
I did not approve that topic just to bring more coffee talk on, even though that does sound like something I would do.
Yeah.
We'll see. If you have any thoughts on this episode or feedback or future topic ideas, you can email the show and also me at music@rpgfan.com. So for the rest of you, what is the best way for everyone to get in touch with you, starting with Gio?
Yeah, you can find me on Discord. I go by tenbstar, TENBI star. And you can also email me at geo@rpgfan.com.
All right. How about you, Pat?
I'm pretty good at checking my email as well. I am pgann, that's GANN, at rpgfan.com. I'm also fairly active on Twitter. My handle is at Gameadactyl. That's the word game, the letter O, and dactyl. Good luck.
And Audra.
Email's the best way to reach me, audrab@rpgfan.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, Rhythm Encounter is not the only podcast in the RPG Fan Podcast Network. We also have Retro Encounter and Random Encounter. Random Encounter posts every other Monday, opposite of Rhythm Encounter. And as of this recording, well, we'll see if this works out, but a recent episode of Random Encounter, I can tell you, was about SteamWorld Heist 2 and Fallout London. So those are the two main topics that they talked about. So check that out. Over on Retro Encounter recently posted a revisited episode on Undertale, because they did an episode on Undertale several years ago, but this one has a whole new panel, so it's a whole new set of takes on it. So check that out. After that was a Final Fantasy tier list episode, which I am sure they're going to get a lot of feedback on, because I have seen the list. I personally agree with much of the list, and some of them people will not. But, that's why you listen to the episode, to see why people put things where they were. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting discussion.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Okay.
I really super am excited about that episode. I have not seen the list, but I also want to add, if anyone has an appetite for this, listening, I have for a very long time pondered the idea of making a tier list for the Final Fantasy Piano Collection Arrange albums.
Ooh,
I think there's enough of them to do that, and I've wanted to do it, but I don't know. But if someone says, Pat, do it, from our readership, I will do it.
I mean, there's at least 15 of them, right?
Well, 1, 2, and 3 have a bundled album.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I like that idea. We'll talk about that later.
That'd be fun.
Well, I endorse it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-oh, now I'm in trouble. Oh, no. All right, sorry for interrupting, Mike.
That's okay. You were trying to give my voice a break.
That's right.
Anyway, lastly, coming up on Retro Encounter later this month is a 2-part game journal on Dragon Age Inquisition. I've been watching people talk about playing that. People started playing that one a little bit early, since I think there's a lot of game there. So it seems like everyone's been enjoying revisiting the game. So be sure to check that out as well. You can find RPG Fan on most social media as RPGFan.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Twitch, or on YouTube. We have a Discord. All of these links are in our show notes. You can, of course, find our website at rpgfan.com. Part of rpgfan.com is also a shop. We have a merch shop, and, we have a shop that sells two things. We have two aspects of our shop. Half of it is merch. We have t-shirts and mugs, and actually recently added was hats. That's a new thing on our shop. So if you've been waiting for an RPG Fan hat, be sure to go check that one out. You can also get our RPG Fan review card collection book. It's a printed book of hundreds of our Instagram mini review cards. We worked with Hyperplay RPG on that, and it's just one of my favorite projects I've ever done at RPG Fan. So If you don't have it yet, I strongly encourage you to at least look into it. You can find all of this at rpgfan.com/shop. Finally, well, almost finally, if you enjoyed this show, we would love it if you could review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is you listen. That helps us a lot because subscriptions and reviews just helps promote the show and get the word out there and get more people listening. So that is almost it now. What we're actually ending on, as always, is a bonus track. And Gio, you picked our bonus track today.
Yes, I did. I am bringing Light of Time from the Third Birthday.
That
Yes.
fantastic.
A very maybe a not fantastic game, but the soundtrack's good.
It is.
So.
It is. It was actually Third Birthday was one of the ones I was really, really looking into before I landed on Seventh Dragon. So I'm happy you had this. So we still got to represent this game. All right. Well, we're going to close out with Light of Time from the Third Birthday. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank the three of you for being here. This was so much fun. And we will see you next time.
Okay, there's a cat banging on the window. Sorry.
I'm sorry, there's a cat
She's
banging on
fun.
the window?
A stray cat?